Guys, it is time for Louisiana Legends, so we have none other than the Cajun hatter, Traiteur, Colby Hébert with us today, and we are tackling a St. Patty's Day legend.
Lutin.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a Louisiana legend. He's basically, you remember back in January, we spoke about T-Bonhomme.
Yeah.
And so T-Bonhomme was technically, he could be kind of classified as a Lutin. It's a sort of elf-like gnome, leprechaun type figure. So while it is not, literally the sort of Louisiana Irish leprechaun version, basically it is the French, Canadian French, and Cajun French cultural legend that would be closest related to the leprechaun in lore. These sort of little mythical house creatures, especially mischief is kind of a big thing that's attributed to them. They could kind of be considered good and bad.
Okay.
Some stories discuss Lutin as just kind of a creature that will show up and just mess around with things in your house, like disorder things, hide things, misplace things, but also just kind of be like playful, and friendly. While there are stories also that talk about a more ominous, individual. So one of the attributes that is often placed upon the legend is shape-shifting. So in this case, the Lutin is very fond of horses. As a matter of fact, Le Cheval Bayard, the Bayard horse, is what it's referred to as when it's in the form of a horse. And basically, there's a story once where it appeared to these children in the woods as a horse, and it would kind of, get them to get on its back. And eventually the horse would get longer and longer until it had like 30 kids on its back. And then it ran off into the sea and drowned them all.
Oh, wait, that took a turn.
Yeah, so that's why I said some of these legends can actually be kind of ominous, But also, it's thought of sometimes by, every culture and different time period can be a little different about the story. It's also kind of thought of as the species of elf, or so to speak, that assist Papa Noel, in essentially what would be the North Pole. So Le Lutin is basically just the closest thing we kind of have in our South Louisiana French culture to like a leprechaun. Yeah, so it's really fitting because that's essentially what a leprechaun is in Irish culture.
Yeah.
The main difference is I don't think that there's any luck. Symbolism of luck surrounding Le Lutin that I can particularly think of, but it's sort of just a little mischievous house spirit.
I love that we're tackling this. We learn something every time that Colby comes on. We have another segment with Colby coming up, but also, guys, it is Thirsty Thursday, so none other than the Le Lutin himself, Tate. He will be here making some cocktails. But Adam, you have the check of the weather.
Well, that mischievous turn that story takes and everything, that's definitely Tate right there. We're looking at some quiet.
So we are still hanging out with Colby. So you talked about the Le Lutin.
Right.
And so let's talk about kind of the Irish culture here.
Actual Irish culture in Louisiana. Which, since it's St. Patrick's Day, we should actually, the Irish, their story was not, it was not too dissimilar from the story of the Acadians in the sense that, in the 1700s, they were escaping British, chastisement. And the Louisiana Territory was kind of known to be a place that, didn't have that because it was a French territory. And so it was kind of, it had anti-British sentiments. And so that was one big plus. But another was also just the Catholicism. The Irish were very Catholic and looking to, go to a place where they could somehow feel in some way at home, or fit in. So Louisiana made sense, in that way. So in the 1700s, there were, thousands of them that began pouring into New Orleans. This is what ultimately became known as the Irish Channel neighborhood. It was this area where there were these big you know, kind of impoverished shack house apartment type things, and they were all living there, and they couldn't really work the fields. The only jobs that were left were sort of these industrial hard jobs, and they would take anything that they possibly could. So they kind of thrived in that way as a culture. So the Irish Channel, obviously nourished this big, cultural outpouring of down the line of what would be a big, Louisiana expression of Irish culture within Louisiana. It would kind of serve to contain that, and that bled out in different ways throughout Louisiana. They still do, it's a big thing in New Orleans, like the St. Patty's Day parades. And
I ride in the Irish Channel parade actually this Saturday.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
So it's a big thing there. Here in Acadiana, we also have some traditions, as well as just some Irish culture. As a matter of fact, my great-great-grandmother was Irish on her father's side.
Okay.
He was a fully Irish man, McNeil. So her name was Virginia McNeil. So I got my green vest on, But anyway, I know in New Iberia, which is of course where I'm from, there is a little bit of action that goes on. There's maybe kind of a sort of pub crawl. There's some people that kind of get together in their kilts and make their shepherd's pie and drink their green beer and that kind of thing. Somewhat of a little parade downtown. And here in Lafayette is actually the Celtic Bayou Festival. So that's taking place this weekend. Tomorrow they're kind of commencing with, again, pub crawl type stuff, live shows in the evenings. I think Saturday is basically like this whole family friendly thing downtown. So Irish culture just has its own whole big thing here in Louisiana. And what I think is so beautiful and remarkable about that is that just like we sort of know, okay, well, you have the French, the Spanish, the African American, all the forms of creolized culture in addition to the native cultures, but yet still in Louisiana, that's not enough diversity. We also have Irish, German,
which is so
Sicilian,
cool to see how they all kind of come together here.
Exactly.
And Colby, we are out of time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Always fun. Yeah.
We're going to post this on our website, KDN.com. You have the weather coming up.
Yeah, and if you see me on Saturday, I'll throw you a cabbage, because we throw cabbages and carrots and everything in the Irish parade.
Your whole grocery basket.
You really can. People come with big boiling pots. It's crazy.